I mean, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot. Externally, the caliper doesn't look bad.
Some look a lot worse.
Oh yeah, I've taken quite a few. Okay, there's that. Hey everybody, we're out here today. It's kind of a brisk day. If you've seen some older videos, you know that my stepdad has this F150. I've used it. I've run an E85 experiment on it. Used to haul some stuff for the house, pipe, drywall, etc. We drove it the other day to pick up a new dining room table for my mom. And on the way back, I kept smelling brake pads. And I kept telling my mom, I said, he acts like he's got a wheel out of balance. It acts like this front passenger side wheel is out of balance. And I kept smelling brake pads and smelling brake pads. When we got home, as you can tell, this caliper is locked up. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's grooved the rotors. And the pads are like wrecked. I mean, they are melted, glazed, chunked, everything. I took the caliper off, cracked the bleeder valve open, hooked a vacuum pump up to it. No fluid comes out. I finally got some fluid come out after me and Steve like stomped on the brakes for a while and kept trying the bleeder valve, and what came out was like brown and rusty and chunky. So I think that 99% sure the caliper is locked up. Also tried to compress it with a C-clamp and a pad. Neither piston, because it's two piston, will move, so I'm 100% sure it's locked up. I don't know if it has corrosion in it that's built up and is locked up or what. I remember when I used to work at the parts store, we sold a ton of calipers for these F-150s, and the hoses, the soft rubber hose line. This one, there's a soft rubber hose line that goes to it. Apparently those are bad to deteriorate internally. We're going to start today with a caliper and a set of pads on it to see if that will fix the issue. If not, O'Reilly's has the line in stock for like $37. We went and checked it yesterday. So first thing we're going to do, I've already got the calipers unbolted. It's like finger tied it in there. So first thing we're going to do is jack the truck up, put a jack stand under it, get this wheel off, take the caliper loose. I've actually got these new tools here I'm going to use too. I saw Mighty Car Mods guys were actually using these. What these are, take these and they just pinch your lines shut. Open it up, put it on your brake line, pinch it shut, and it keeps all the fluid out, or most of the fluid in. But what Steve wants to do is we are going to try and flush all the fluid. Basically what we're going to do is just hook my vacuum pump up to this and suck all the lines out, all the old fluid out, and then just keep filling it up over there till we get fresh fluid, because it's probably never been done. And then we'll change the pads on the other side. That way the pads are the same both sides. But like I said, we've already got everything broken loose, so I'm going to walk you through the whole process here, walk you through what tools you need, all that stuff. So let's get this thing in the air and get started. So if you're going to change your caliper, first thing you got to do, jack the truck up. Good thing about Ford is it literally tells you there's an arrow on the frame telling you where to put your jack stand. Wheel off, it's 21s. I use my impact in 21 socket. Then you will have, if you're going to remove, we bought the one with the bracket. You got a 21 here, soaked in with PB Blaster. Steve's going to get me a breaker bar because my impact won't go in there. And then you've got two 14s here that will just remove the caliper. Also, if you notice, I've used my little handy dandy line clamp. Hopefully won't lose too much fluid. Like I said, I got the pads out, and as you can tell, they've been getting way too hot. But once Steve gets back, I'll break his bracket loose, take his whole thing loose. Have one bolt right there, looks like it's like a 16 or something, maybe like a 12 or 14. Take that line loose, transfer it over to there. This is already assembled. Get a new bolt, get new sliders, get everything. So like I said, this was at O'Reilly. It was like 90 bucks for the $40 core, and the pads were like 60 something. If you'll notice on the pads, there is an inner and an outer pad, these on the inside, and it tells you don't mix it up because it can cause damage. I don't know why they would do that. Why not just make them both this way? I don't know, it's a Ford thing, I don't know. But Steve's gonna get a breaker bar, we'll get that loose, and we'll go from there. Got everything off. here's what I'm going to do. I got the bracket off, the caliper off. So what I'm going to do is I've got the new bracket. What is it?
Jack and Ronnie Adams.
Yep, that's it. Got the bracket apart. Got the new clips in. The bracket came with new clips I had to install. So is the pads. So whatever, I'll end up with extra set of clips. So I'm going to put the bracket on first. Get the pads loaded in the bracket. Then I'm going to try and get this switched to there as quick as I can. That way less fluid I got to lose. I've already got it pinched off. Tried to pinch it off, but it's not pinching very well. So let's get the bracket on. I am going to put a little bit of blue JB Weld Permalock on them when I put the bracket on. And then I'll take this out, get that broke loose. Try and do this without making a mess. Got the new bracket on. It's 21s. Okay. Use my thread locker. What's good is the pads here tell you inner, inner, outer. So I got the outer, inner right hand. We'll put it. If you do notice, they have ears. One thing, when I was working at the parts store, we actually got a memo saying that on the higher ones, such as the premium gold or the platinum, they were going to do away with this because we, as an outside aftermarket company, had seen that there was no point in these ears, and all it did was cause trouble. So they were just going to do away with them and just make them all this way. Ford, I don't know why you did this. Don't make no sense. But anyways, we're going to put the inner in. Like that. See, that's what's weird is the pad is taller too on the inside, and as you can tell by looking at the caliper, it actually goes up. It's angled. Why you would not just make this the same, I don't know. Maybe somebody out there can explain to me. But now what I'm going to try and do, take this loose. I can take this whole thing out because I got a new bolt, new washers, new caliper. So I'm going to try and do is I'm going to set you guys like right here, break that loose. Basically what I'm going to do is just pull this whole thing out, chuck that down, get the new one up, shove the new stuff in, and then we'll see if we got to bleed it. If I can use my pressure bleeder, we'll get it fluid in somehow. I mean, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot. Externally, the caliper doesn't look bad.
Some look a lot worse.
Oh yeah, I've taken quite a few. Okay, there's that. Okay, there's that.
Does it go in the box too?
Sure. I mean, it's junk, so.
So I was halfway smart. I brought me a chair up here.
We can sit on a tire.
Huh?
You can sit on a tire.
Yeah.
All right. So, put the bracket on, got the caliper bolted down, got the bolt on. It came with a new bolt, 2 washers, got everything there together. The issue I ran into was on the bottom. They had packed this hole with the sliders right in right here, full of grease, so much grease I had to take a flathead and scoop it out because there was so much grease in it that it wouldn't compress the slider enough to let me get the caliper on. So Steve's gonna grab me a pair of channel locks because that's just spinning. I can't get this threaded in because it's just wanting to spin. I wish it came with these bolts new. I don't know why it didn't. That would be great. But I don't know why. That'd be one thing. It'd be nice to have those 2 little new bolts, but it didn't come with those bolts or these bolts. So Steve will bring his channel locks, get that tightened down, and then we'll hook my vacuum up to it. Sounds like fluid out. Hoping the caliper's okay. Like I said, it's got a few ridges on it. I'm hoping it's not warped from the heat because, like I said, these pads were smoking. If it is, it'll just be 2 bolts. Take it off, slap a new one on, we'll be done. This is a really easy job. Something you can do. Like I said, this is like a 30-minute job. We're gonna go ahead and change pads on both sides too, so it's the same. Like I said, if we need a new rotor, we'll run and get one. Something else Steve and I did was we took the cap off the reservoir. As you can see, it's pretty new fluid, and used our OEM tools suction pump. That's the old brake fluid.
The black stuff.
Yeah, black paint.
Gold.
190,000 miles, so that may be an improvement. That may help too. So I bought one of these things. It is a one of these. I'd used one of these before on like a clutch, and I shook it up, pumped it to it, and it sucked all the fluid through. But for some reason on this truck, it wasn't sucking. Like there was no, it would not create a vacuum. So what we had to do was Steve had to get in there and pump the brakes like you would when you normally bleed a brake. And then when I would crack this open, this bleeder valve open, I had this on and had this, so it was creating suction, and it was sucking a bunch of air and then a little bit of fluid. So we did it, instead of just letting that run all day, Steve pumped the brakes 3 times, held it. I popped open the valve. I tried to use a line wrench, but it was way too thick, so I just used a 10 millimeter. Also, the bleeder valve on here is different than the bleeder valve on the old one. The old one was American, this one's metric. But we pumped it, just kept chasing it. That's how much fluid we finally got out. So it's done. Steve said the brakes feel fine. We're gonna stick the wheel back on. Drove it up the road, like I said, see if it needs a rotor. Easy, our job. The hardest part of this was this. You don't have to have one of these. This just makes it easier and a lot less mess. You can see all the messes in there. So this is a very easy job. And I will say, you do get these bolts. They were in the box. That's my bad. But this is a very easy job. I would probably go ahead, if it was me, and I was gonna keep this truck a while, I would go ahead and replace that $30 brake hose line. I don't know if the little clamps I bought did anything or not. I don't feel like they necessarily did, but that's all there is to it. I mean, it's junk, so